Welcome. So, Hellboy, the Crooked Man. I liked it. I really did. It was a pleasant surprise. Maybe suffered from the benefit of low expectations. But I want to go into what I liked about it, what I thought was really well done, and but where I'd like to start is by talking about what I feel is its biggest weakness, which is not its own fault, but unfortunately the petty BS of Mike Mignola. And in order to do that, we have to take a brief detour, a kind of like prequel, so to speak, into the history of Hellboy. So we're going to begin our discussion of Hellboy, the Crooked Man, with a tale of three Hellboys. Okay, so in terms of the movie world at least, there have been three iterations of Hellboy. We began, as you know, with Guillermo del Toro and Ron Perlman, as I am referring to him, Hellboy Prime. There will always be a special place in my heart, as I think fans in general, with Ron Perlman and Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy. That first movie was such a breath of fresh air. It was brilliant. It was so good. Didn't hit as big as I think anybody wanted, but certainly big enough to generate a sequel. Studio was happy enough with it to greenlight the sequel. And The Golden Army was a brilliant movie. Coming out of definitely the first movie and cemented with the second movie, it was clear that the stamp on those two movies, they were Guillermo del Toro movies. And Hellboy was now synonymous with Ron Perlman. Now, Guillermo del Toro, he more than ever, he was very generous, very gracious. Whenever he could, he would talk about Mike Mignola, the importance of Mike Mignola, working on the screenplays with Mike Mignola, how important Mike Mignola was to the process, creating Hellboy, his inspirations, all of that. Here's my thoughts on all of that. Mike Mignola was not happy that when Guillermo del Toro's work came out, Hellboy was not a Mike Mignola joint. It was a Guillermo del Toro joint. Now, how do I make this inference, this conclusion? I kind of pieced this together from a couple of things. The most recent tell, I think, was from from what Guillermo del Toro said about the almost end of the trilogy. So I think the studio greenlit it. I think everything was ready to go. Certainly Ron Perlman, Selma Blair, they were all on board. Guillermo del Toro was all on board. We all know the script was ready to go. They were ready to go. The only person who wasn't ready to go was Mike Mignola. That tells me he was the one that had veto power. If he said no, project is dead. Didn't matter if the studio said yes. Didn't matter if Guillermo said yes. He had ultimate veto power. So this is not a studio issue. This is a Mike Mignola issue. So Mignola, and this is again coming from Guillermo, a nice, honorable gentleman. Guillermo says, "Hey, yeah, let's do it," because he's been trying to do it. Fans want it. Mignola's humming, hawing, blah 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 blah, because all he does is whine, really. And he says, well, if you show me that there's fan interest, show me that blah, blah, blah. He says something about that. Throws what he thinks is a ridiculously large number at Guillermo. You show me a large number of fans to the question, do you want a Hellboy 3? And puts a ridiculously short time frame on it. And he doesn't even say he'll say yes to the movie. He says, I'll sit down and have a chat with you. So Guillermo puts up the question and takes the poll, and Guillermo gets it in like what, 24, 48 hours? And he gets like double the amount that Mignola asks for. So they sit down, they have the chat, and as we all know by now, Mignola says, no. Sorry. No, not going to do it with you. And that was that. Until a few years later, when the real issue came out. It's not that he didn't want to make another Hellboy movie. It's that he didn't want to make another Guillermo del Toro Hellboy movie with Guillermo del Toro. Because he sure as hell tried to make another Guillermo del Toro movie, but he tried to make it with Neil Jordan. And it came out horribly bad. And I'm sorry to say that, David Harbour, I love you. You are a wonderful actor. You were wasted on a bad script. You were wasted in nothing more than a cynical cash grab effort to try and make a Guillermo del Toro-like Hellboy movie without the wit, the charm, and the sheer genius of Guillermo del Toro. And the movie we ended up with, I think we can all agree, was not a particularly good movie. That is David Harbour's Hellboy, or what I like to call Hellboy Light. And again, it was a cynical cash grab. It was Mignola's attempt to make money off of Hellboy and say, hey, I want to get as much as I can, and make a Guillermo del Toro-like Hellboy movie, but without Guillermo del Toro. And guess what? It crashed and burned. You know why it crashed and burned? Other than it was like really, really, really bad? It was because it was without Guillermo del Toro, you dimwit. But anyway, I digress. He goes, licks his wounds, and then Brian Taylor, of all people, Brian Taylor, comes together with an interesting idea for the latest iteration of Hellboy. And I call this iteration Hellboy, the Crooked Man, Hellboy Authentic. I call it Hellboy Authentic, not because of the characterization of Hellboy, although this is the closest to Hellboy in terms of his spirit to the graphic novels. Yes, definitely, because Hellboy in the graphic novels is not as big and bombastic as say Hellboy Prime, but just in terms of the world building and the creepiness and the gothic sheer horror, in terms of capturing the feeling of what it is to read a Hellboy graphic novel and the sheer creep factor of it, because these are horror novels. They're not camp. They're not action. They're horror. And he leans into it. And what I think the smartest thing that, and we'll go into this in a minute, the smartest thing that Hellboy, the Crooked Man, does is it takes a simple narrative And again, it's an original story by Mignola. So Mignola, again, was on board with this. It takes a simple story and it tells it well. It's well constructed. And we'll go into all of that in a minute. Unfortunately, because of the cynicism that Mignola has brought along, and rightly or wrongly so, us fans and the fandom has tied to him because of how he has treated Hellboy, and particularly Guillermo del Toro, over the years. It's like, for lack of a better word, fuck off. We're done with you. Couldn't care less. And that is why, in large part, Hellboy, the Crooked Man, is going to fail at the box office. Not because it's a bad movie, because it's not. It's a good movie. Unfortunately, Mike Mignola's cynicism and BS has come back to bite it in the ass, and that is why his property is going to fail this time. And who knows whether it'll have another iteration 5-10 years down the line. I don't know. But now, with that backstory, let's get into the movie. So, Hellboy, the Crooked Man. As I said, simple story told well. Just in terms of the craft of the movie, I love that they created an atmosphere. And an atmosphere that is completely different from the loud, bombastic, kind of Guillermo del Toro style. There are no vibrant colors. There are no explosions. The colors, it's a desaturated movie. The color has been removed. So, and there's a lot of smoke. It's very smoky. It's set in Appalachia. It's set in the 50s. It is a very quiet movie. It is a slow-paced movie. It is very creepy. If you are expecting either Hellboy Light or Hellboy Prime type movie, you will be disappointed because this is not that kind of movie. If you are familiar with the Hellboy comics, you will be pleasantly surprised because this is a faithful adaptation to the tone and style of a Hellboy graphic novel. It is slow-paced. It is a slow build. By the time you get to the end, it gets under your skin, and you feel the horror and the creepiness of what's going on. And I was just kind of like antsy in my seat, not in a Terrifier kind of like way, but definitely it got to me, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it because I wasn't expecting that at all. The acting was great. I thought it was really, really good. The directing was really good. Certainly, I think Brian Taylor has had a hit and miss career as a director, but I thought he did a really good job, particularly with setting up the tone and style and pace. And there was an interview there where he gave, and he was asked about why he likes to keep his movies short, and he said, "Why the hell would I want to see a movie that's over 2.5 hours? You know, just keep it moving." And this movie, he really does keep it moving. There was another critique where I saw a reviewer, and he had a problem he had a problem with the spider. The movie is bookended by a demonic spider, and he seemed to have a problem that the movie starts with them transporting a spider. There's an accident, and the demonic spider escapes, and in the process of trying to retrieve the spider, they get sidetracked on this adventure and meet the Crooked Man. And then, mayhem ensues. And then at the end, they defeat the Crooked Man and get the spider back. It's a twofer. But I thought it was well done. And I had no problem with demonic spiders. I like Lord of the Rings. There's a big-ass spider in that one. I don't know why this dude didn't have a problem with that. Maybe the problem is the guy doesn't have maybe the guy has a problem with spiders. Who knows? But I do think this is a movie that if you like the comics, you would be pleasantly surprised. I was shocked. I checked this out this morning. As of this week, this is the Monday, October 21st, 2024. As of this Monday, this is a $20 million movie, so 1/3 of the original budget for the original Ron Perlman Hellboy. $20 million movie. This movie worldwide has only grossed $1.5 million. I think it's fair to say it's tanking miserably. Makes Joker 2 look like a frickin' success. And it's really unfortunate. Probably because it's not in particularly wide release. Hopefully it'll be able to recoup some money when it gets to streaming and digital. It is really, really been mishandled by the studio, mishandled by Mignola, and it's unfortunate to the movie makers, unfortunate for the actors. Certainly at San Diego Comic-Con, Corey Jandro, one of my favorite dudes, he did a great panel kind of introducing the movie to the world. If you get a chance to catch that panel on YouTube, go see it. It's really good. All I can say is that if you get a chance to catch this movie, if you like Hellboy, if you like Creep Factor, if you like getting scared, this is the movie for you. Because it's fun. It's fun. I enjoyed it. 2 thumbs up. There's my phone. X-Men 97. Go see that too. I'll catch you soon. Ciao.